Welcome to Redbeard Radio. I'm Brian Keith, and today we are talking with Denny, the CMO of Memberium. That's one of those membership site plugins for WordPress. I've used it for around a decade. It runs my training site, Lenders Online Training, where we help lenders learn everything about loans, credit analysis, everything like that. And it's used in, I don't know, probably thousands and thousands of businesses around the world. And we're talking with Ben today about when should you look at making that transition from one of the sites that is more templatized, you just put in your content, but you don't have a lot of control over how it's displayed, like Teachable, and when you want to go and have all of your training content on your WordPress site, which is when you might use Memberium. Ben, welcome to Redbeard Radio.
Thank you so much for inviting me on here, Brian. And what a great topic, because that's a question that obviously being at Memberium, being in that software business, that we get a lot is people asking us, should I start on the Memberium platform, or, is this something that I should actually switch to later down the road when maybe I, have more, I'm making more revenue, or I have more needs or whatnot. And so there's a lot of different ways to approach it. And there's a lot of different motives behind, I think, starting an online course or a membership site. So, I think that if you are just starting out, it's going to be a side business, and you don't really have an intention to take this full time, then maybe using those other platforms are, that's okay. But I think that they really limit you in the growth, and I can touch on some specific things on where that is. Do you have a lot of experience, I guess, with things like Teachable or Kajabi? Or
I have used Teachable, and I'm using it currently for clients. I have used Kajabi in the past for clients. I have Memberium is the one that I'm fluent in.
Yeah.
And fluent is relative, right? I know people out there who make me look like a complete first grade novice. But I'm probably still in the top 10% of partners, even though I know people like where I feel, oh man, I don't know anything. But yeah, I've used a lot of these other tools to go deliver membership content. And the key part for me, I think, that Memberium delivers is if I can imagine it, Memberium could do it. And if I don't know how it can, it's because I haven't looked closely enough. That I like working with tools where my imagination is a limit, not the tool. And when I work, I have a client with Teachable right now where we're trying to go make this domain thing work properly. And because Teachable, I think it's a Teachable problem, though I can't tell for sure. The forwarding isn't working right, and having people log in is weird. And then just yesterday, I had someone who wanted to upgrade their membership from a 4 months to a lifetime version of this product, and there was no way to do it. So they go buy it again with a different email address. It's just, and there's no way around it, right? Because it's Teachable, which the client used it because it was fast. And they did, in fact, we got this thing live really fast, and they really are interested in no maintenance, and it's not their business. It's just a side project. But then I sometimes have to deal with things where it's, oh, you can't do the thing that you should be able to do. Well, if you'd been using Memberium, of course, we would have already had that done. A common thing. So I'm familiar with some other ones. Memberium is one of the ones that I keep coming back to as, if you're going to make this a critical part of your business, unless you're dedicated to not knowing how to make a lot of edits yourself beyond uploading content, and you don't want to hire somebody else, and you're willing to accept the design constraints, that's when I say, go with Teachable. You can get a site up, in about an hour with Teachable, half an hour. If your content's already done, no problem. And, it's okay. It's not going to be a full-fledged experience like with Lenders Online Training. We have a rich experience where managers can see what their learners are doing. We have people from a wide variety of banks and credit unions at all different parts of this process. We have live calls integrated. We have this very rich training environment. And I don't think that we would be able to have that other than using Memberium running on WordPress and having all these different parts of it.
Yeah, that's some great points, and that's really, you've pretty much summarized the entire answer. There's obviously, we can dive deeper into different parts of it. I would pretty much say that yes, if you need to start with something very easy and low budget, that using one of those platforms is that's going to be your best bet, whether that's Kajabi, Customer Hub, Teachable, and there's new ones that show up every single day, and the reason for that is because obviously online learning, e-learning, whatever you want to call it, that industry as a whole is only going to continue to grow.
Hmm.
It was kind of fueled by the pandemic that we had. Hopefully, we're coming out of at this point, and it's only going to keep going at this point. So, I guess to kind of answer it though, I would say, like you said, the biggest constraint with the platforms, I call them SaaS platforms, service as a subscription or software as a subscription, is that they lock you in. That's my biggest complaint with them. And it's by design. It's not that they're doing it maliciously, I don't think. It's just that, you're building your business on someone else's platform and
Hmm.
someone else's tool. So at the end of the day, you don't ultimately have control of it. You may own the IP, you may own the video content, the written content, but you don't own the underlying platform that for a lot of people, the entire business is living on. Similar to a Facebook group. If you build your community on Facebook groups, you're at the risk of Facebook being down like it has been in the past,
Yeah.
or Facebook even removing your group. There's a lot of different things. Because again, you don't control Facebook. And that's why a lot of times I strongly urge people to, and I tell them, if you're going to take the business seriously, you're going to start a real business, and this online learning aspect, this membership aspect is going to be the real cornerstone of the business. Just start on the right platform.
Hmm.
It's actually cheaper in the long run. It may be more costly up front, but it's cheaper in the long run. Starting on the right platform versus having to move and migrate people and potentially lose billing information in the meantime, because a lot of times you can't transfer that billing information just due to PCI compliance and other things. And an analogy that I kind of use is, what's easier, moving houses when you don't have any furniture, or moving after you've already packed your existing house full of stuff.
Yeah, and the price is also quite different. That your standard plan is $37 a month.
Yeah.
Teachable starts at $100 a month. And to use Memberium, you have to also have your WordPress site, but the cost of that is almost free. And then you
Yeah.
have to have either Keep or Active Campaign to manage all your contacts. But if you rely on Teachable to manage your contacts, then you can't just go email people easily, and you can't really know what they've done easily. You can't follow up with them based on what they have or haven't done. One of the things we have with Memberium for Lenders Online Training is, if you start a course, which often means your manager enrolled you in the course, but you don't log in within a certain time period of getting added to the course, we have a human follow up with you. We do a couple automated emails, but if within, I don't know, what is it, 3 days or something, we call you, because it's really important to get the students engaged. And just because your manager said you need to take this is not the same thing as you taking it. So we can have all that automation built in Keep, that if Memberium says, whoa there, they haven't signed in, we call them. And that creates a level of service that we can do with Memberium, with Teachable or another platform. Yes, you could in theory hire a VA to go scroll to the list every day, but it's just not native. And that's part of how we're going to set ourselves apart as a training company for that particular business. Is we're just going to have outstanding customer service throughout the process.
And a lot of that customer service that you're talking about is automated in a way too, like those check-ins and things.
Mm-hmm.
That's all automated by having a membership platform that's integrated with that automation. CRM, which in our case is Keep. That's the main one that we use. We also work with Active Campaign too, both very powerful systems. But I think we've had people come to us and say, "Hey, these additional systems, Keep, Active Campaign, this is just an additional cost." Not really, because again, if you're running a real business, you need one of these systems anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And you could talk more about that, because I'm sure that you sell more Keep apps than we do.
Yeah, it's funny how the systems play together. We use FuseDesk which is a help desk software for
Yeah.
Keep. And so we have it set up so that if your manager adds you to Lenders Online Training, you get a welcome email, of course. We also give your manager a list of everyone, because a lot of banks and credit unions have very high security to where emails actually cannot even get to these people. They just can't, which is great for our banks and credit unions. It's not so good for the training vendors like us. So your manager gets your login details to go hand to the individual people. But then if we see you don't log in, we put a task through Keep into FuseDesk with the person's information, so that whichever of our support staff is available, they can call you and just bypass the fact that our emails can't reach you because you're in a high security institution. And then
Mm.
they manage all that through FuseDesk. So the dance between our team working in FuseDesk, our tags being sort of who's done what in Keep, Memberium doing the notification of, hey, this person hasn't signed in. That all just, the dance just happens together. And yeah, it's completely opaque to the customer. They don't care. All we need is that manager needs to know that everyone's either signed in or we've called them. So we can tell them that, and we can have that consistent experience. Let's talk about membership site protection and how we can protect content. That's one of the interesting things that back with Wishlist Member, I first started doing that back in 2000 and I don't even know, forever ago. Before Memberium got started up, I was using WLM. And just the most basic, we're going to say you can't get to this thing unless you have a tag that says you can get to it. But Memberium has I would call it a vast suite of customization around who can access content and when. For people who maybe aren't familiar with more than some of the really basic stuff, and let's say what the basic stuff is. The basic stuff is you can access all your content as soon as you buy, or you can access content piece 2 as soon as you complete content piece 1, or you can access a new piece of content each week. Those are the 3 basic things you see in all of these kind of apps. But what can Memberium do above and beyond that people can use to good effect?
Yeah, that's you should have prepared me for this now, but there are much more advanced strategies, like you're saying. Some of the ones that we've seen, and this is a feature that maybe other people have this, but you can, with Memberium, basically sell back access to a catalog. Let's say that you put out a new piece of content every month or whenever, like an issue for like a newsletter or whatever it may be. And we've seen this done with newspapers and magazines. That's primarily who's using this feature. But basically, if somebody subscribes in January, they should get January's issue, and then as many as they stay subscribed each month.
Mm-hmm.
What you can do is, if somebody signs up in March, they don't get January and February by default. They can go back and pay for those. So again, that's something that's a little bit more tricky. You're not going to be able to do that most likely on a lot of these teachable platforms. Kajabi, they're just not designed to give you that customizability.
For an example,
But with Memberium,
for my Redbird Accelerator for my mastermind, we're doing it where we don't want, because we're discussing the intimate details of our members' businesses. We don't want to have forever access to everything. So we're talking about having some calls where the recordings are just there. And that's like what you're saying, where if you are a member in the March 14th call, then you will always have access to that call. But if you weren't a member at the time, you never have access. But we're also going to have some calls that are just not recorded from other kinds of topics that are maybe really sensitive. But we're going to have a middle class of calls that only exist for a month. So if you have a call March 14th, if you're a member at that time, you get the call recording, but it expires on April 14th. So you really only have a month to enjoy it. And after that, poof, it's gone. And it's all automated so that I'm not going crazy or my staff's not going crazy trying to go and manage all these kind of recordings. And that it allows us to have this high touch thing where we're actually going to have 3 different kinds of calls. Oh, and there's a 4th kind of call, which is an expert interview, which is, those are going to be forever for anybody. So if you buy in now, you'll get the last 2 years of expert interviews. So we actually have 4 different ways of organizing, and that's just the call content. That's not any other kind of content within the mastermind. We have 4 different ways we'll be able to organize this.
Yeah, and you can stack all of these different protection types and layers and levels. You can stack it all together, like you said, where that is applying to the calls. You have maybe a different type of access for maybe there's recorded content, main course content, whatever. And everything is tag based, like you said. So it's all automated through the CRM, through Keep. So you build your automation. It's all time based, for example, or based on when they take action. And it's almost all essentially based on what tags do they have? Can they access this or that? Have they paid? Did their subscription lapse? Let's remove the tag. Or there's just so many different things you can do with that. The final thing I do want to share on that, though, is something that's more advanced that a lot of other systems don't provide, is the ability to sell group accounts.
Yeah.
A big problem that people face is people sharing logins. I mean, even Netflix to a degree has this problem, right? Where, you have multiple people sharing one login to Netflix, or, and this is with everything, and it's fine to share. It's not a problem. Memberium has a feature called group accounts. It's, maybe referred to as umbrella accounts or corporate accounts, but it's all the same. What that is where one person pays and then they can add team members. So you might give them by default 3 additional team members or sub accounts, and they basically share the access with that parent. And so you can sell additional seats. So maybe if they want to add a 4th person, they have to pay monthly or a one-time price. It's up to you. And if the main person ever stops paying, if you're selling a subscription-based service or access, then all the sub-accounts would lose access as well. And again, all automated, and it pretty much curbs the login sharing problem just because you're actually encouraging sharing, which is a good thing because you get some natural virality there. But you're also have an opportunity to make more revenue and boost your offer too by saying, hey, you can share this with 3 people.
Here's how we're using this with Lenders Online Training. We have 3 different price points depending on is it 1 to 3 people, 4 plus people, or do you want to have full access to the manager's dashboard? And so we have the basic, those first 2 things, we're not using that enterprise thing. We're saying, yeah, if you're signing up 5 people, just go buy the cheap thing, and then you'll have 5 different logins for the 5 people you bought it for. Is fine. You give us all those names, fine. But for the enterprise thing, we say, yeah, that if you want to go spend that much money, then if you're going to buy 10 or more people at a time, we have it 3 different price points. $700 a person if you're buying 10 seats or more, and your manager can put you into the training whenever they want to. So we do a thing where some companies, whenever they hire a new lender, they automatically send them into Lenders Online Training. So they just buy, say, 10 seats. And then, hey, new hire comes in. Part of the onboarding process is, oh, by the way, you're taking this 4-week class starting next week. Before we even try to train you, we're sending you through this class. But then as we get to higher levels of enterprise training of these group accounts, we have extra stuff. So if you go ahead and you want to buy the mid-level, which is 25 seats or more, then we go and we add in customized content. Like we might have a session that is just for you each week instead of the general live session for everybody, as well as all of our automated content. And then at the higher level, enterprise custom, then we also have additional stuff. Like we'll have one of our subject matter experts customize your company's guidelines and customize the tax returns we're using, like a whole bunch of high level stuff. And that's for 40 or more. So some folks might say, well, I want to add in 30 people, but I really want to have customized tax returns for my students to learn on that are drawn from one of our actual clients. So if you want that, great. You buy your 40 seat ticket there. You have 10 additional seats to use whenever you want to. So you have 30 people right now, and then you can add the next 10 people in whenever you want. So we have this just incredible way of saying, well, what exactly do you want? Because we have it. It's all set up already. And we fit that price tag you're paying really well to this customized delivery level. But for most people who don't need to have customized tax returns for their students, they can find some options where they don't need to send in 40 people all at once to get it. They can just go to much more basic level, and they'll still have a fantastic experience with the default open enrollment session. So we love the enterprise thing. I don't think there's any way that we could have moved from doing live classes like we used to do, like everyone used to do, to being fully online without having that enterprise level of custom functionality for our special long-term clients.
Absolutely. And there's just, can you imagine building that experience on Teachable or Kajabi?
I'm sure someone else out there could do that. I'm sure the custom development cost would be so obscene that you should just build your LMS from scratch. I'd rather be paying $100 a month or whatever it is we're paying you guys. It's not much. And compared to what we're charging, it's really not much. And it took a while to get here. We started off using Memberium, I don't know, 2008, somewhere in there, 2010. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. So we've been building slowly. At first, we moved over part of a class, and we started adding it on there. And I want to mention for folks who are hearing all this and going, wow, that sounds amazing, but how in the world can I get there? There's this case studies section you guys have on your website at memberium.com, and that's Memberium. And if you click on case studies up at the top, you're going to find all of these videos where people just walk you through, hey, here's what I built. And this is a really great way to see there's so many different ways to go build stuff, but you'll just get all these big ideas for what you can build. Everyone who's curious, memberium.com, and then go ahead and do case studies up at the top. And Ben, for folks who want to go get more of a live demo or talk with your team more about the details of what they want to build with a membership site, how can they best get in touch with you?
Yeah, go do the same thing. Go to memberium.com, and right up there, right over next to case studies, you'll see a large button that says live demo. Go ahead and click that, register for the live demo, and that's going to show you what Memberium is capable of, a lot of the different options you can use, and then you'll receive an email from us as well that will give you more options to contact us and join us. If you want to join a live call with us, you can also go to memberium.com/office-hours, and that's just a twice weekly Zoom call that we have that you can join and talk anything membership sites.
Wonderful. And folks, if you are looking at all this and you're thinking, I want this, but oh my goodness, it feels like it's too much to go build all this on my own. There's this place on the website, memberium.com, called Certified Partners on the upper right. And you'll
Mhm.
find there a list of people who can go build out Memberium for you, make it integrate with all your stuff. I'm buddies with something like half the people on this list here. I'm not on the list because I'm not focused on implementing membership sites. And all these folks have dedicated staff where this is what they do a vast amount of. And I do it more for my own companies like Lenders Online Training. But there's a whole bunch of people here. And if you were looking at this huge big list and you're not sure who to talk to, just go to Box Out. It's on the right there where it says Box Out Marketing. Go read their story. You will be ecstatic that you chose Box Out to go build out your Memberium site. And you can even talk to them. They have their phone number up there. You can talk to them about, hey, here's what I'm thinking for my membership site. Can Memberium do this? And then go get Tyler's company, go get his people to tell you, well, yeah, it can do this. And here's what that would look like. And here's an estimate of how long it would take to go build out. So if you can imagine it, Memberium and Keep Together can do it. Ben, thank you for being on the show. Where's a good place to follow you on social media?
Yeah, I mean, the best place, I'm not on a whole lot of social media, but I do post over on the Memberium Facebook page. So if that's where you want to go, it's just facebook.com/Memberium.
Great. Ben, thanks for being on Redbeard Radio.
All right. Thanks, Brian.